Welcome to Finding Holiness, where we delve into timeless Torah wisdom, revealing the sacred in everyday moments. Join us on a journey to elevate your spirituality and discover holiness in every aspect of life. I'm your host, Rabbi David Kadosh, and together, let's embark on a path of spiritual exploration. I hope you enjoy this next episode. Erev Tov, everybody. Welcome to those online, those in person, those listening on our podcast. And this will, of course, be posted in our Back to Basics Shiur number 3, tonight's Shiur, sponsored by Mr. and Mrs. Moshe Ben Dayan in memory of Yitzchak Ben Tolila Bar Aharon, Zichrono Livracha. May the words of Torah that we say this evening be Lilu Nishmatot Tina Shot Rab Yitzrod HaChaim. Again, welcome everybody for joining us in this long journey. We don't know when it will end until Mashiach comes, but we're here, we're at the beginning of it, and we'll look back. Again, if this is your first time joining, that's okay, and nothing wrong with that. You can listen to the first two classes on our website, findingholiness.com, or findingholiness.sprout.com, where we find all the latest, wherever you listen to your podcast. We are on first parak of Chumash, Bereshit, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Yud Daled. We are beginning the fourth day of creation. We study the Chumash with Rashi, and then after 30 minutes, we move on to Shulhan Aruch and the Mishnah Berurah. So, Parak Aleph, Pasuk Yud Daled. Vayomer Elohim. Elohim said, God said, Yehi me'orot birkia hashamayim. Let there be lights in the rakia, in the firmament of heaven. Lehavdil, to separate ben hayom uben halayla, to differentiate between day and night. Vehayu leotot ulmoadim, they will be signs and for seasons. Uliamim veshanim, and for days and for years. Vehayu limorot birkia hashamayim, and these meorot, these luminaries, they will be luminaries birkia hashamayim, in the firmament in the heaven. Lehair ala aretz, to shine down on earth. Vayichen, and so it was. Vayas Elokim, and God made et shenei meorot hagedolim, the two great luminaries. Et hamaor hagadol lememshelet hayom, the bigger luminary to take command of the day. Vet hamaor hakaton lememshelet halayla, and the smaller luminary to take command at night. Ve'et hakochavim, and as well the stars. Vayiten otam Elohim birki hashamayim, God placed them in the heavens. Lehair ala aretz, to shine down on the land. Velimshol, and as well to rule bayom uvalayla, on day and at night. Ulavdil, and to make a difference ben haor ben hachoshech, between day and the night. Vaya, and darkness, light and darkness, sorry. Vayar Elohim kitov, and God saw that it was good. Vahi erev vahi boker yom revi'i, and it was evening and it was morning, fourth day. Okay, so that is the creation of the fourth day. So let's look at Rashi, Pasuk Yud Daled. Rashi says, Yehi me'orot ve'gomer miyom rishon nivreu. So again, Rashi is continuing with his thesis that everything was really created on day one. Everything was created on day one. Miyom rishon nivreu ubareve'i, but on the fourth day, tziva alehem lehitalot barakia. He commanded them to be suspended in the heavens. That's what happened on the fourth day. Now, interesting, it says Yehi me'orot. Yehi is singular, to imply that only one of them is going to illuminate the others. Of course, come sit. Only one of them is going to illuminate. That's why the Lashon Yehi is used, not Yehu. So one of them, we know that being the sun. And again, for those following online, there is a link posted in the chat where you can follow with the Sefaria website. In fact, Rashi says everything in the heavens and the earth were created in day one. And each one of them was just set and put in its place on the day that it was decreed. So in day 4 it was the sun and the moon and the stars, but it was really created in day 1. Hu shekatuv et hashamayim lerabot toledotehem. So Rashi here is saying, when the opening pasuk said Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, should have just said Bereshit bara Elokim hashamayim ve'haaretz. The word et comes to include tolodotehem in the what the children of the Shamayim, or the branches of Shamayim. So what is the branches of Shamayim? That's the moon and the stars. Ve'et ha'aretz rabot toldoteh, and also ve'et ha'aretz. The et comes to include the trees and the greenery, and Gan Eden as well, which is the branches of what stems from the ground. We see this in many places. Of course, one of the most famous examples is Et Hashem Elokecha Tira. That Hashem, you shall fear Hashem your God. The word Et comes the Rabot Tamidei Chachamim, as is Doresh in the Gemara. Okay, next Rashi, Yehi Me'orot. Rashi here notices that the word Me'orot is spelled Haser Vav Ktiv. It's spelled without a Vav. Two Vavs seem to be missing, in fact, but it's missing at least one Vav. So why is it missing? So he says, Al Shehu Yom Me'era Lipor Askara Betinokot. With regards to the cursed day where a askara, which is a type of disease, will fall upon the tinokot. It's a stomach disease that leads up to the throat. Hu sheshaninu barevi'i hayu mit'anim al askara. On the fourth day, they would fast for this disease called askara shelot tipol batinokot. That wouldn't fall on the tinokot. So who would fall? The Gemara Masechet Ta'anit tells us who fasted. The Anshe Ma'amad, those that are in charge of the korbanot tzibur, the korbanot of the congregation of the tzibur, they would fast on Wednesday specifically for this. So every Yom Revi'i, there would be some members of the Anshe Ma'amad, the Kohanim, and those that are standing watching over the korbanot tzibur, that they would fast for this askara disease that seemed to have plagued many children, especially with stomach problems.
So the Amoraim or what time is that?
This is the time of Bet HaMikdash. Time of Bet HaMikdash. So the word me'orot is spelled. So what does that have to do with missing a vav? Okay, what does that have to do with missing a vav? Because me'orot means a curse, cursed day. Umkalelcha aor. Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Abraham Avinu, whoever curses you, aor, I will curse them. So me'era is a lashon curse. So if they had the vav there, then you know it's talking about or as in light. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu purposely wrote the Torah without the vav, because the fourth day can also be read me'era. Me'era is a cursed day. That's what happened on Wednesday. Lehavdil ben hayom uben halayla, to make a difference or to separate between the day and the night. So Rashi here says, Mishenignaz haor harishon. When that first original light was stored away, it was nignaz, it was stored away. So the original light, this is a light that the Reshaim are not worthy of. It was stored away after the 7 days of creation, and Rashi is going to tell us now what will be following. Aval b'shivat yemei Bereshit, but during the 7 days of creation, shimshu haor. The light and the day, or the light and the night, day and night, use this or that was brought upon in the day one, and it was brought together between day and night. But again, after the seventh day, after the creation was finished, that original light was stored away for le'atid lavo, for the tzaddikim in the future. Either in Olam Haba, they get to use that light, and they witness that light. Ve'hayu le'otot. These me'orot, these lights will be for as a sign. They will act as a sign. So Rashi says, "Kesha me'orot lokin," when there's an eclipse, when there's literally means that they're struck. You don't see them. They should be there, but you don't see them because they're being blocked. Siman ra la'olam. It's a bad sign for the world. Shneimar, for the pasuk says, me'otot hashamayim al tehatu. Right, from the signs of heaven, do not fear. Ba'asotechem retzon hakadosh baruch hu en atem tzrichin lidog min hapur'anut. HaKadosh Baruch Hu made and placed these me'orot, these luminaries in the heavens. It was His will. And when they're there, you don't have any reason to worry from any form of retribution. But if the me'orot are laku, if they're nilaku, if they've been struck, if they're eclipsed, for whatever reason, that's a reason to be worried. It's a siman ra olam. Although many people, enjoy trying to see eclipses, but in the world of the spiritual, it's not something that's good. Ulmo'adim, and for the seasons. Rashi says, Al Shem Ha'atid, for the future, She'atidim Yisrael leitztavot al ha'mo'adim, because in the future, the Jewish people will, al ha'mo'adot, the Jewish people will be commanded with regard to the holidays, Vehem nimnim lemolad alevana, and they will be reckoned through the molad of the levana, the appearance of the new moon. So even though the holidays are established by the moon, that is Hakadosh Baruch Hu sought to create the sun, because we need the sun's effect to look at the moon, of course. So therefore, the pasuk attributes both meorot for the Moadim. Should have just said maybe the Maora Katon for the holidays. That's what we need. We don't pay attention to the sun for the holidays, we pay attention to the moon. But no, we need the sun's rays that shine on the moon in order to recognize what stage the moon's at. So therefore, both of them are attributed to the seasons. Uli yamim are here days. Shimush hachama chatzi yom veshimush halevana chetzio hare yom shalem. So the sun is there for half of the day, and the moon is there for the other half, and that's how you get your full day. Okay, we know that, but nevertheless, it's Rashi's telling us how they are there for the day. Veshanim. What about for years? Lesof 365 yamim. At the end of 365 days, yigmeru mahalachan bishnem asar mazalot hamsharetim otam. The sun will travel a complete orbit through the 12 constellations, hamsharetim otam, that are serving it. There are 12 constellations. Constellations are groups of stars that are seen around the universe. They each have the same distance apart from each other. Why are they called mazalot? Why are they called mazal? From Lashon mazal. Okay, mazal we translate as luck, but it's mazalot is actually from the Aramaic word of azal. Azal in Aramaic means walking, traveling through, because the sun and moon both travel through these constellations. That's why they're called mazalot. And of course, the 12 constellations are, for those that are unaware, Aries. Aries is the first month, that's Nisan. Then you have Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra. Libra is Tishrei, that's why you have the scale balancing. Scorpius, that's where we are now. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Okay, so those are the 12 constellations. They do exist. However, like I always tell my students, they don't exist based on what you read in the newspaper and the magazines. That's not what your horoscope is about. You read 30 magazines, you're going to get 30 interpretations of what your day is going to be about. So don't pay attention to that. But indeed, they do exist. Maybe one day we'll go into more depth about that. So vehu shana, that's what a year is. A year is when the sun and the moon go through each one of these to all 12 constellations. Vechozrim umatchilim pam sheniya, and they come back and start again a second time. This is why it's called a shana. Why is a year called a shana? Because it's shoneh, it repeats. It repeats, going around the whole circuit again. Lesabeb bagalgal kemalachan harishon, to go around the universe like the first time. Okay, next pasuk. Ve'hayulim orot, okay, shall be as luminaries. Od zot yeshameshu. There's another purpose. Sheya'iru la'olam. All right, so now not only do we have the sun and the moon in order for the seasons and for a day, but now also they need to provide light to the world. That's another, which we might consider to be the main purpose. To God it was the second purpose brought down. But for us, definitely, is to bring light on the world. HaMeorot HaGedolim, look what Rashi says here in Pasuk Tezayin, Shavim Nivreu. They were created equally, equal size, sun and moon. Venitma'ata halevana, but the moon was decreased itself. Nitma'ata is lashon hitba'ah, decreased itself. Al shekitrega ve'amra, because it complained when it said, "I'efshar lishne melachim sheishtamshu becheter echad." It's impossible for two kings to wear one crown. The moon looked around and said, "It can't work. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. You can't have two luminaries, two huge things in the sky." So it was the moon that lowered itself, and Kadosh Baruch Hu told the moon. The Gemara there tells how Kadosh Baruch Hu told the moon, "You have to be like your people who are going to follow your calendar. Your people are a humble people, Jewish people, so you have to humble yourself." So the moon made itself smaller. Veta kochavim al yedei shemi'et et halevana, because He caused the moon to decrease in size. Hirbat Seva'ea Lafis Data. He increased her hosts. In essence, what we're saying is that the stars belong to the moon. It's like the people the stars accompany the moon. Lehafis Data, to calm her down. To make her, okay, now you feel a little bit better now. You got all these people. That's why you only see the stars at night when you see the moon. Okay, that concludes day number 4. Let's go on to day number 5. Pasuk Kaf, back to the Psukim.
And I heard an amazing thing.
Yeah?
That the moon is exactly 400 times smaller than the sun. And the sun just happens to be almost exactly 400 times away.
Oh, wow.
Further away.
No, so
that's why when we have eclipses of the sun
it's a perfect
moon, they look exactly the same.
size.
They fit perfect. But the real amazing thing that the guy said at the end, that I saw this, the guy said at the end, he says, for this to happen randomly is like impossible. It's like the odds are like,
of course,
quadrillions.
This is all
like it's almost impossible that you can have two objects that are exactly 400 times apart, 400 times smaller, on the exact same orbits.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. So let's move on to Pasuk Kaf. Seth, do you mind getting them to close the... Yeah, whoever's... Just close the gym door so we don't hear the background noise. Thank you. Okay, moving on to Pasuk Kaf. Vayomer Elohim. This is day number 5. God said, Yishretzu hamayim. Let the waters swarm of what? Sheretz nefesh chaya, a swarming of a living creature. Ve'of ya'ofef ala aretz, and fowl flying over the earth. Al penei reki hashamayim, on the face of the heavens. Vayivra Elohim, God also created et hataninim hagedolim, the sea monsters. Ve'et kol nefesh hachaya, and as well all the living beings. Haromeset, that crawl. Asher sharetzu hamayim, that are crawling in the water. Leminehem, each of its own kind. Ve'et kol of kanaf lemineu, as well all the winged birds, fowl, lemineu, each of its own kind. Vayar Elohim kitov, and God saw it was good. Vayvarech otam Elohim lemor, God blessed them and said, Peru urvu, be fruitful and multiply. Umilu et hamayim bayamim, and fill the waters. Okay? Ve'aof yire ba'aretz, and the birds shall multiply. Vayi erev, vayi boker, yom hamishi. And it was evening and it was morning, day number 5. Okay, Rashi here says, Nefesh chaya, sheyeh bahiyut, that there shall be life, a creature that has life in it. This is the first time that we see, okay, a life source that is created, right? The animals are coming next day, but this is the first time the creepy crawlers, okay, is the first time that we see such a thing. And as well, this is also where the fish were created. So this is the first time that we're seeing some sort of life force here. Sheyeh b'chayut. Sheretz says, Kol davar chai, any living being, she'eno gavoa mina aretz karui sheretz, that is not tall from the ground. So it lays very low. So it gives examples. Ba'of, with regards to something that flies or a fowl, kegon zvuvim, a fly. Believe it or not, a fly, based on Rashi, is a type of bird, is a type of fowl, right? Bashekatzim, with regards to insects, kegon nemalim chipushin vetolaim, like ants or beetles or worms. Ubaberiot, and with regards to mammals, kegon choled achbar vechomet. So it's like a weasel, a mouse, and a lizard, v'kautze bahem, v'chol dagim, and all the fish. So now there's actually a girsa. I don't know what girsa you have over there, but there's a girsa change that many people say it shouldn't say v'chol dagim, it should say v'chen hadagim. I don't know what you have in your so the whole there's a v'chen hadagim that really and same by the fish. So if you say v'chol hadagim, that means maybe all the fish are considered sheretz because they lay low in a way. But many of the Girsah change says it's v'chen hadagim. So too by fish, there are certain fish that stay low to the ground, like octopus. That would be like a type of sheretz with regards to the waters. Hataninim, Rashi says dagim gedolim shebayam. These are sea monsters, huge fish in the sea. Uvdivrei Agada, according to the Agadic explanation, Hu Livyatan uben zugot. This is the famous Leviathan and its mate. Sheberam zacharu nekeva, that God created a male and female. V'haragit nekeva, but God killed the nekeva umelacha letzadikim la'atid lavo, and salted it away for the tzadikim again in the future that will be eating this Leviathan creature. So now, why did God have to kill the nekeva? Why couldn't He leave both of them? She'im yifru ve'yirbu lo yitkayem ha'olam bifnehem. That's simple, because if they continue to multiply, there goes everything, right? The world really can't exist. It'll overtake mamash hakol. Okay, and that's why it says hataninim ktiv. The taninim is written without the letter yud between the nun and the mem to represent like it's one, not plural. Okay, and again, nefesh chaya, nefesh sheyesh ba chiyut. Again, another soul that has a life force to it. This is regards to the birds. Vayvarech otam, God blessed him. Lefi shemechaserim otam, because we decimate them. V'tzadin mehem ve'ochlin otam, and we trap them and we eat them. This is what we do to animals, right? We trap the fish, we eat the fish. We trap birds, we kill the birds, we eat them. So therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hutzrechu livracha, they needed a blessing, because to continue to multiply. Ve'af hachayot hutzrechu livracha, even the wild animals needed a blessing. Ela mipenesh hanachash she'atid liklala lechach lo berechan. But because the snake the story will come soon, needed a curse, so God didn't bless the wild animals. Shelo yehu bichlal, so that the snake not be included in the blessing. What is the blessing He gave them? Peru urvu. So peru means leshon peri, like a fruit. Kilomar asu perot, make fruit, make more. Urvu. What does it mean urvu, multiply? So Rashi said, why do you have to tell me urvu? You already told me peru. You only told me to be fruitful. Why do you tell me to multiply? So Rashi says, im lo amar ela peru. If you only told me to be fruitful, haya echad molid echad velo yoter. You have one child. And that's it. You told me to multiply. I multiplied. There we go. I'm good. Leave me alone. No. So therefore, uba urvu she'echad molid arbe. That one shall produce many.
What does it mean, urvu?
Multiply. All right. So if it was just to be fruitful, one would be enough.
One fruit.
But one fruit. But multiply teaches me that many more. Okay. Day 6. Pasuk Kav Dalet.
Is that a modern Hebrew word too? How do they say multiply in Hebrew? Like in math?
I'm not sure. All right. Harbe is also a lot, right? It's a lashon. So, Vayomer Elohim, day number 6, the longest day of the week in terms of its description. Vayomer Elohim, God said, Totzeh haaretz, let the land bring out nefesh chaya lemina, a living creature of its kind, behema, cattle, varemes, v'chayto eretz, and beasts of the earth, lemina, each of its kind, vayichen, and so it was. Vayaz Elohim, and God made it chayat haaretz lemina, the wild beasts of the earth, each of its kind, v'tabehema lemina, and the cattle of its kind, v'et kol remes ha'adama lemineu, and the crawling creatures of the animal of the land of its kind. Vayad Elohim kitov, and God saw it was good. Vayomer Elohim, then God said, Na'aseh Adam, let us make man betzalmenu kidmutenu, in our image and in our likeness. Ve'yirdu bidgat hayam, they shall rule the fish of the sea, uvof hashamayim, and the birds of the heavens, uvabehema uchol haaretz, and the animals and all the land, uvchol haremes haromes halayis, and all the creepy crawlers that crawl the land. Vayivra Elohim et Adam betzalmo. So God created man in His image. Betzelem Elohim bara oto, in His image He created him. Zacharun keva bara otam, man, male and female, He created them. Vayivarech otam Elohim, God blessed him. Vayomer lahem, Elohim, God said to them, Peru urvu milu et haaretz v'chivshua, be fruitful and multiply, and subdue the land. Urdu, and rule. Bidgat hayam uvov hashamayim, this is the command to rule over the fish, uvov hashamayim, and the birds of the heaven, uchol chaya romes et haaretz, or any creature that crawls on the land. Vayomer Elohim, and God said, Hine natati lachem et kol esev Zorea zera. Behold, I give you all the seed-bearing herbs asher al penei kol haaretz that is found on the land, ve'et kol ha'etz and all the trees asher bo periet zorea zara that has fruit that have a seed in it. Lachem yeh le'ochla, it's all for you to eat. U'chol chayat haaretz, and all to all the beasts of the earth, u'chol of hashamayim, and to all the fowl of the heavens, u'chol oromes ha'aretz asher bo nefesh chaya, and anything that crawls that has a living force, et kol yerek esev le'ochla, they can eat the herbs as well. Vahichen. And so it was. Notice that there's no allowance to eat animals yet. That we're going to talk about that in Rashi. Vayar Elohim et kol asher asah. God saw that everything that He did. He saw everything they did. Vayir tov meod, and it was very good. Vayir vayiboker yom hashishi, and it was evening and morning, day 6. So let's quickly go through the Rashis and day 6, and then we'll move on to the Shulhan Aruch. So Rashi says, Totzeh haaretz, again, hu sheperashti, this is what, this Pasuk Avdalit, Totzeh haaretz, hu sheperashti, I explained this already. She'akol nibra miyom harishon, everything that was created in day 1. Velo hutzrechu ela leotziam. I only need this to, now that I'm telling the land to put out the animals. The animals were already created from day 1, but now they're just emerging from the land. So one of the people asked the question is, why does it say Vayivra, what God created by the sea monsters, Vayivra Tainim Gedolim and Vayivra Elohim et Adam Betzalmo, right? So he said what was created was the fact that they were big, that was created new, and the fact that He created man in His image, that was also. But the man itself, the physical force, whatever that was, okay, was something that was already there prior from day 1. Big hidush. Okay. Nefesh chaya, sheyesh bachiyut. And again, another nefesh that has life force. Varemes, hem sheratzim. These are the crawlers. Shehem nemuchim, that are short, low. Veromsim ala aretz, and they crawl on the land. Venirim ki'ilu nigrarim, and they look like they're dragging themselves. She'en hiduchan nikar. Wherever they walk, it's not noticeable. Kol leshon remes vesheretz b'leshonenu. Kun varish, it's a French term. Anytime that's what it means. Remes and sheret is talking about these creepy crawlers. Vayas, so was it? God made chayat haaretz tiknam b'tzivyonam. He established them in their full form, betikunan uvchomatan, and their complete stature. Pasuk Kavav Rashi, famous Rashi here. Na'aseh Adam, let us make man. Rashi here says, Intvat nuto shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu lamadnu mikam. We see God's humility through this pasuk. How do we see that? Because man is very similar to the angels, and the angels got jealous. So therefore God consulted with the angels. So we make man, they consulted. You should know, Rashi says, that whenever God judges the kings, He always consults with His heavenly house, which is the Bedin Shel Mala. Sheken matzinu be'Achav, we see this with the wicked king Achav. She'amar lo Micha told him, Ra'iti et Hashem yoshev al kis'o. I saw God sitting on His throne. Ve'kol tzeva shamayim omdim alav mimino misemolo. And we see on all the people, that is referring to the angels, to His right and left. So Rashi says, V'chi yesh yamin u'smol lefanav. Is there even a right and a left to God? What does it mean right and left? God is not physical. What's right and left? Ela elu ma'iminim lizchut ve'elu masmi'ilim lechova. Right? Some people are to his right, telling you achav and trying to make you innocent, and some on the left are trying to make you guilty. So this is proof that when He judges kings, He judges them with the angels. This is a pasuk in Sefer Daniel. By the decree of the destructive angels is the matter, and by the words of the holy ones is the edict. This pasuk in Daniel is regards to a dream that Nebuchadnezzar, Melech Bavel, had, and it was decreed upon him that he was going to be exiled from mankind. He wouldn't be able to live with man for 7 years, and he had to live out in the jungle with the beasts of the field. So that also we see that it was the angels who were being consulted. Afkan, so to hear, he wanted to get permission from the angels. Amar lahem, so he said to the angels, Yesh ba'elyonim kidmuti, And up in the heavens, you the angels, I have like my likeness. Imen kidmuti batachtonim. If my likeness is not available by mankind, then there's going to be jealousy in the creation of the world. And that's why, by the way, sometimes you find Shamayim comes before Aretz, and sometimes it's the opposite. Where sometimes the Torah puts the word Shamayim in advance of Aretz, and sometimes Aretz comes before Shamayim, to show you that they're equal. That was the message God wanted to send. Na'aseh Adam, let us make man. Af api shelo si'u b'yitzirato, even though that the angels didn't help him in forming man. V'yesh makom leminim lirdot, you have room here for the heretics to rebel and complain. Lo nimna katuv milelamed derech eretz umidat hanava. Still, the pasuk does not prevent us, teaches us how God was humble. Sheyeh agadol nimlach v'noter reshut mina katan. That the greater one, God, comes and seeks advice and permission from the smaller one. V'im katav e'eseh adam, if the pasuk would have wrote e'eseh adam, I will make man, lo lamanu shaya medaber im bedino ela im atzmo. We wouldn't know that he spoke with his beddin, with the angels. He just consulted himself. Uchuvato katav betzido vayivra et adam velo katav vayivru. But when it actually came to the creation of man, it said vayivra. He created, meaning one and not many. Betzalmenu. We're going a little bit over our time here in terms of the 30 minutes, but we're smack in the middle. Betzalmenu bitfus shelanu. In our image, kidmutenu lehavinu laskil. Man has the ability to understand and be successful. Ve'yirdu bidgat hayam. They will rule over the fish of the sea. Yesh balashon hazeh leshon ridui u'lashon yerida. The word ve'yirdu can be, the shortish is either control and rule, or also laredet is to go down. So Rashi notices that, and he says, "Zacha rodeh bechayotu be'amot." The man is worthy enough. If he follows the ways of God, he will rule over the beasts and the animals. Lo zacha, but if he's not worthy, naaseh yarud lifnehem v'chaya moshelet bo. Then the animals will rule him, and he will have no power to do anything. God created man in his image, bitfus he'asuilo, in the form made for him. That everything was created, the rest of the creations were created by speaking, God saying, but man was created beyadayim, with his hands. Not actually his hands, but we're going to see it like an image. Like it says, you placed your hand on me. Na'asek bechotam. He was made with like a dye, not a dye like you dyed, but like a dye that makes an imprint. Kematbea ha'asuyal yedei roshem, like a coin that is created from a stamp. Shekorin, coin. Rashi even says it's called coin, right? It's called a coin. V'chen hu omer titapech kechomer chotam. The dye changes like clay, and this is the source that we see that every human being is going to look differently. Like the dyes always change over time as you use more, as things develop, right? Faces and images change. B'tzelem Elohim bara oto, in the tzelem of Elohim he created. Peresh lecha sheoto tzelem amtukan lo tzelem diyuknan yotrohu. Okay, it's a tzelem of a likeness of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, made with his hands. Zacharu nekeva bara otam. Another famous Rashi, that he created male and female. Ulhalan hu omer. Later on he says vayikach hacha mitzalotav. How does it mean? Later on he says that God took from the male, from the thigh, and created Chava. Here it's saying that he created both at the same time. So Midrash Agadah, the Midrash writes, Shebera'o shene partzuvim. God created two faces, Beriah Rishonah, in the original in the original creation, two faces facing opposite directions, connected by the back. Ve'achar kach hilkam, and afterwards he separated them, I guess, from the thigh. Upshuto shel mikra, the simple meaning of the pasuk is, kan hodi'acha shenivreu shnehem bashishi. It's just telling us that both were created on day 6. Velo peresh lecha ketzar briyatan, uperesh lecha b'makom acher. It doesn't tell us how they were created, but they were both done on day number 6. That's the simple explanation of the pasuk.
So it's not one or the other.
Well, according to the Midrash Agadah, you have this Midrash that was they're connected by the back, and they're pretty much, and then God separated them. But the simple pshat of the pasuk is,
the other one is they took from his ribs,
yes,
or whatever.
Yeah.
So which one is it? We don't know. It doesn't matter.
Well, we don't know. We don't know. One behind the Midrash. The simple pshat of the pasuk Rashi is saying is they were both created on day 6. How would happen? You have different explanations. Vechivshuha, and you will subdue it. Again, Rashi notices chaser vav. It's missing a vav. Lelamedcha she'azachar kovesh et hanekeva shelo tehei yatzanit. Here we see that the male will rule over the female. Vechibesh ota, vechivshuha, vechibesh ota. He will vekavash ota. He will rule her. So the male has rulership over the female that to prevent her from going out and being a yatzanit, being too out there and spontaneous is not good for ladies. Ladies are better ba'ohel, like Sarah Imenu, who stay in the tent, humble, modest. Ve'od lamedcha she'aish shedarko lichbosh metzuveh al periyah ve'rivya ve'lo ha'isha. We also learn from here that it's man who has the obligation to be fruitful and multiply, not the woman. Lachem yeh le'ochla. For you, lachem yeh le'ochla u'chol chayat ha'aretz. Hishva la'em be'emot ve'chayot le'ma'achal. God equated all the animals with man in terms of food. He didn't allow man and his wife, Adam and his wife, to kill an animal and eat meat. Everybody at this moment is eating vegetation. Only when Noah, after the flood, that's when he permitted to eat meat. Why after Noah? Because the animals were saved in the merit of Noah. That's the only reason. So as a reward, mankind was able to eat from the animals. The last Rashi, Hosif Hey Bashishi. You notice it says Yom Hashishi. There's a Hey over here, Bigmar Maaseh Bereshit, at the end of creation. Lomar. Rashi gives 2 reasons. Number 1, sheitna imahem, that God made a condition with the word al menat sheikablu alehem Yisrael chamisha chumshei Torah, that the Jewish people will accept the 5. That's the hey, the 5 books of Chumash of Torah. Davar acher, Yom Hashishi, the 6th day, kulam teruyim ve'omdim ad Yom Hashishi. This everything that He created until now is dependent and waiting for the 6th day, hu shishi besivan, which is the 6th day of Sivan, the day of Shavuot, Hamuchan le Matan Torah, which is prepared for Matan Torah. Shebiyom Vav beSivan, on the 6th day of Sivan, Shekiblu Yisrael la Torah, that the Jewish people accept the Torah, Nitchazeku Kol Yetzirat Bereshit. Everything that was created in these 6 days strengthened themselves. They became even stronger. V'nechshav kilu nivra ha'olam ata. It's as if they were created that day on Vav Sivan. It's like a new creation. V'zeu Yom Hashishi behe she'oto Yom Vav beSivan. And that will conclude the 6 days of creation. We'll continue next week in our Chumash. We're moving now to our Halacha Mishnah Berura. Again, for those online, you can find it on the link that I posted there in the chat. We are on still Siman Aleph, Seif Hey. So we're still in the first Siman of Shulhan Aruch. And we're really still talking about the man's conduct in the morning. We'll give a few seconds for people to open it up, but it's there. You got it? Yeah, there you go. Page 8. All right. So Seif Hey Mechaber says, Shulchan Aruch writes, Tov Lomar Parashat Ha'akedah uParashat Haman va'aseret hadibrot uParashat Ola uMincha uShlamim veChatat veHasham. It is good to say every morning the parasha of the Akedat Yitzchak, that's what we do. Parashat Haman, that's the parasha of the food that came from heaven. We don't do that. Va'aseret hadibrot, and the 10 commandments, we also don't do that. Uparashat Ola uMincha uShlamim veChatat veHasham, we do that. Those are the korbanot. Ve'davka beyachid, the Rama writes, specifically a yachid, someone's praying by himself, mutar lomar aseret hadibrot bekol yom. Is he allowed to say the 10 commandments every day? Aval asur leomram betzibur, but you're not allowed to say them in tzibur. You see it? Siman Aleph. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at the Mishnah Bura at the bottom. Sif Katan Yud Gimel, Parashat Ha'akedah. So Parashat Ha'akedah, Kodem Parashat HaKorbanot. This is read before all the korbanot that we read. In fact, that's how the Sfaradim begin their whole tefillah. They begin their tefillah with Parashat HaAkedah, Vahi Achar HaDevarim Haele. Ve'yachol lomar Parashat HaAkedah uParashat Haman afilu b'Shabbat. and you could even say Parashat HaKedah and Parashat Haman even on Shabbat. It's a good point here to say that there were various customs in Morocco with regards to the Parashat HaKedah on whether it was said on Shabbat or not. This is why the Mishnah Berurah is even saying that you could do it. Most of Morocco did not say the Parashat HaKedah, Vahi Achar. They started with Ashrenu Matov Chelkenu, and the reason is because the reason why we say Parashat HaKedah is reminiscing or recollecting how Abraham Avinu subdued Yitzchak on the Mizbeach, and Abraham represents Chesed, and Yitzchak represents Geburah. So we want our day to be controlled by Chesed, not by strict judgment. So that's why we read it. On Shabbat, we don't have that issue. All right, there's no deen, there's no gvura on Shabbat till towards the end of Shabbat, not in the morning definitely. So therefore, we don't have that issue. So therefore, many people did not have the custom to recite Parashat HaKedah in the morning. But nevertheless, Mishnah Berurah says, you want to say it, you could still say it on Shabbat. Ve'en dai ba'amira. But he says it's not enough to just say it with words. Ela shitponen mashu omer. You have to understand what you're saying. Ve'yakid niflaot Hashem, recognize the miracles of God. This is exactly what the Gemara said. Anyone who says Tehillah David, that's Ashrei Yoshev Betecha, 3 times, is guaranteed Olam Haba. Gam ken be'ofen hazeh. Same thing, same idea. It's not just recite words and not knowing what you're saying, Olam Haba. No, the deep meanings. So now, betam lamirat kol zeh, why are we saying all of this? Ki Parashat HaKedah, the Parashat HaKedah, kedei lizkor zechut avot bechol yom. We want to mention and remember the merit of our avot every single day. Vegam kedei leachnia yitzro kemo shemasar Yitzchak nafso. And also in order to humble our man's inclination, just like Yitzchak was willing to give over his soul. That's why we say Akedat Yitzchak. Uparashat Haman. So why do we say Parashat Haman? Kedei sheyamin shekol mezonotav ba'in b'ashkacha pratit. So that we truly believe that all of our parnasah comes b'ashkacha pratit, that God is watching over every single person with their parnasah. We don't have the custom to say the Parashat Haman every day, although I'm sure there are people that do say it based on this Mishnah Berurah. We have the custom to say it on one day during the year of Parashat Beshalach. I think the Tuesday of Parashat Beshalach. Uchdichtiv. What else is written in that parasha of the man? Hamarbe lo ha'edif v'hamamit lo echzir. Right? One who took a lot, okay, he didn't end up with a lot, and someone who took a little didn't lack. To teach me lehorot she'en ribui ha'ishadlut mo'il me'uma. You can try all you want when it comes to your parnasah, but God's going to give you what you need. All right, it doesn't matter. So ha'ishadlut lo mo'il me'uma. Be'ita be'Yerushalmi berachot. It's written in Masechet Berachot in the Talmud Yerushalmi. Kol ha'omer parashat Haman muftach lo shelo yima'atu mezonotav. Anybody who says Parashat Haman, it's promised that he will have parnasah, he will not lack or be deficient of mezonot. V'aseret hadibrot. Why do we say the 10 Commandments? Kedei sheyiskor b'kol yom ma'amad har Sinai, so that we remember the ma'amad har Sinai, v'yitchazek emunato b'Hashem, and strengthen our emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Uparashat HaKorbanot de'amrinan b'mnachot, and the Parashat HaKorbanot that we say in Masechet Menachot, Zot Torat HaChatat, these are the laws of Korban Chatat. Kol ha'osek beTorat Chatat, ke'ilu hikriv Chatat. Anybody who engages in the study of the Korbanot, Torat Chatat, is like he brought a Korban Chatat. So if you open many Sidurim, yeah, I just have one next to me over here. This is a Sephardic Sidur, I believe, a Nusach Sfard. Okay, maybe not, but here in the back it has a Parashat Haman. It's written the Parashat Haman in the back of Shacharit, and there are many Sidurim that might have the Shesh Zechirot, the 10 remembrances, and the Ani Ma'amins. All right, so it's very we see many Sidurim, they bring this down so that you can fulfill a lot of this stuff. Good Sidurim will have it. Okay. Ushlamim, Rashi's, the Mishnah Berurah says, Vehu adin parashat Todah. This is the same thing with the parasha of Todah. The gam hi bichlal shelamim. Korban Todah, the korban of thanksgiving, is part of a shelamim. Ve'achar ola ushlamim beTodah. After the parasha of the burnt offering, Shlamim and Todah, Yomar Parashat Nesachim, you recite the parasha of the Nisuch HaMayim and the Nesachim, Ki en zevach belo Nesachim, there's no korban without pouring of the wine. Aval Chatat ve'asham en ta'u Nesachim, but the korban Chatat and the asham do not require this wine libation. Ve'chatat, ayin b'magen Avraham, look at the Magen Avraham who writes, Shekatav, De'im yodea shenitchayev chatat, if a person knows that he would require a korban chatat, if it was a bet hamikdash now. So a guy, chas v'shalom, he made an avera b'shogeg on Shabbat. He broke Shabbat b'shogeg, right? By accident. Obviously, if it was accident, if it was on purpose, he'd be stoned to death. Okay, but if it was so the accident, it has to be korban chatat. Yomar parashat chatat kodem. Magen Avraham says that's the first parasha you should say. You should say parashat chatat first because he knows he did an avera. But from some of the poskim, that's not what we do. Let's turn the page. Mishnah Berurah Bet Tzibur. So Mishnah Berurah, the Ramah says you shouldn't say the 10 Commandments Bet Tzibur. Mipenei kofrim, for those who are kofer b'Torah, who deny the Torah. Shiomru en Torah elazu. They say they're going to say, only the Torah is really just the 10 Commandments. That's what Moshe got on Har Sinai. That's only part of the Torah. So if you start saying it in a public setting all the time, that's what people are going to think. You see, we're right. It's only the 10 Commandments that's important. Ubifrat bizmanin. He says more specifically in our time. That's why a person should not write the 10 Commandments on a kuntres, a notebook that is or a sheet that is specific for the tzibur. Yesh shekatvu. There are those who write that lo asur leomro betzibur ela kov'o ben haberachot kemo kriyat shema. That the whole prohibition of saying it in a congregation is establishing it within the brachot of kriyat shema. So this is aval kodem baruch she'amar mutar betzibur. But before baruch she'amar, you're allowed to say the 10 Commandments. So this stems from a machloket in the Gemara where the Chachamim are debating whether or not you should say Kriyat Shema, whether you should not say Aseret HaDibrot during Tefillah. If you remember the Gemara, if you learn the Gemara. But the conclusion is we don't say the Aseret HaDibrot because of these kofrim, because we're worried what people are going to say, and not to worry because they are all hinted in the Shema Yisrael. And if you have, again, a very good Sidur, you will see in the Shema Yisrael, they're right, the 10 Commandments, right? These words correspond to, obviously, the first one, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is the first commandment, is Anochi Hashem Elokecha, that's the whole belief in God, right? So you see that throughout, Leman Yirbu Yemechem is Kabelet Avicha V'Timecha, because the reward for Kabelet Avicha V'Timecha is long life. So we see, hinted in the Shema is all the 10 Commandments as well. That's what the Gemara concludes. Yes, no, we wrote that. We said that va'ana naktinan lesor betzibur klal uklal. However, we just prohibit it from a tzibur altogether. Uvyachid davka shelo betoch hatfilah, and a yachid could say it, but not during tefillah. Aval likboa betoch habrachot gam leyachid asur. But even for a person who's praying by himself to say the 10 Commandments in the within the brachot, that is not allowed. Okay.
So we don't say the 10 Commandments.
We don't have a custom to say the 10 Commandments
because
during
we're worried that someone's gonna.
Yeah, there were people that didn't know the history of Ma'amad Har Sinai and said, okay, then Moshe Rabbeinu got the 10 Commandments. That's all he got. Everything else is bogus, right? And 10 Commandments, that's what counts. And look, that's reason why, by the way, many are against the custom of standing for the 10 Commandments, right? We Moroccans are very makpid on that. We stand for 10 Commandments, right? But those that are against it is for that reason, not to give the indication that that's all it is. Okay, moving back up to the Shulhan Aruch, Seif Vav, Parashiyot HaKorbanot lo yomar ela bayom. You should only say these parashiyot during the day. A very short Seif. So let's look at the Mishnah Berurah Bayom of the Korbanot, what we say before Hodu. Then a korbanot kerevin ela bayom. Because simple, because the korbanot have to be brought during the day. You can't bring a korban at night, so they have to be said at day. Aval parashat hakiyor u parashat terumat hadeshen yachol lomar kodem hayom. But the parashat of kiyor and terumat hadeshen, which we do, I believe we do the deshen, but we don't do the kiyor. It could be said before. This is interesting because based on this shita, you wouldn't be allowed to say any korbanot early in the morning, right? So our minyan early in the morning at 6:30 when we start, it's still dark outside. It's not daytime. How can you say all these korbanot? You can't do so, right? Based on this pshat, korbanot have to be in the day. That's why he says ve'im en lo pnai. If you have no other option, he says yachol lemor gam parashat korbanot balayla. But you can also say the korbanot at night. After dawn, it's certainly okay. Some say even before, but really you should try at least after dawn. Ve'im tzarich amida. And if whether or not these parashiot require standing, ayen b'siman memchet. Look at later on in Siman Memchet 48 Mishnah Berurah Sif Katan Aleph. Katav bishlat v'rin deshla kadosh b'Shabbat v'Yom Tov lo yomar yehi ratzon. You should not say the yehi ratzon. The yehi ratzon that's being referred to is, and every day we say this yehi ratzon. May be your will, God, that the korbanot or the parashiot that I'm about to say, okay, or the tefillah that I'm about to say, should be in place of the korbanot that were supposed to be brought. But now that we don't have a Beit HaMikdash. So it says on Shabbat and Yom Tov, you don't say the Yehi Ratzon. There are those that say that's Shla. The end Korban Nedava Babahem, because there's no Korban Nedava that is brought on those days. Avala Parashiot Enef said Leomran, but you have nothing wrong to say the other Parashiot, Kekore BaTorah, it's like reading from the Torah. Umikol Makom, Imhu Ben Torah. However, if he is a Torah scholar, Mutav Yoter Shiasok BeParashat Diyoma, he should worry a lot of the Parasha of the day. I guess is a reference to the parasha of Shabbat. Mishu avel lo yomar parashat korbanot. Also, someone who is an avel should not say the korbanot, because the korbanot bring happiness. Okay, it's for many reasons, whether it's a korban of thanksgiving or because your sins are being forgiven and atoned for. There's a sense of happiness, and an avel is not in a state of happiness. So therefore, he doesn't say korbanot. And from the previous law about the Ben Torah, that's why some people, they'll choose to ignore the korbanot, and they'll say, okay, I was learning a Gemara Shiur. Okay, so this is you have a Gemara Shiur early in the morning, and you have to miss a part of Tefillah. Okay, so you missed the korbanot because at least you were all sick Torah. But that's assuming you were all sick Torah and not doing other things. Okay. Zayin. Zayin, Kishaseyem Parashat Olah, when a person finishes the parasha of the burnt offering, Yomar, Yehi Ratzon Minefanecha, maybe your will, Sheyeh Zeh Chashuv Mkubal Kilu Ikrafti Olah. That should be as if I brought Olah. V'kach Yomar Achar Parashat HaMincha VaShelamim, and so you should say after the Mincha and the Shelamim as well, Mipnei Shehem Ba'im Bin Dava, because they come, or they're brought as a donation. So, says the Mishnah Berurah, in Sifkat and Yudchet, Aval Achar Parashat Chatat Lo Yomarken. But we don't say this Yehi Ratzon after the Chatat, Defi She'ena Ba Nedava, because it doesn't come as a Nedava, Ela Imken Avar Avera Shechayvim Alea Chatat. Unless you know that you sinned and you have to bring a Chatat, so now you're saying this Parashat of the Chatat, so now you can say Yehi Ratzon. V'chen Asham ve'Asham Talui, the same thing with the guilt offering, Kaimalan De'ena Ba Nedava. The later sages wrote in the name of the Rashal that we should say this Yehi Ratzon even after the guilt offering and the sin offering. But you should say it in Lashon of a doubt. Dehainu, as follows. Yehi Ratzon mifanecha, may be your will. If I transgress a sin that requires a chatat, let this parasha, me reciting this parasha, be like I brought a korban. And if not, that's just like I read Torah, and I get schar, and I get reward for doing that. And that's how we should say after Parashat Hashem. That's how the Rashal says. But the Magen Avraham doesn't like this. He objects. He says, Ech Yomar, how can a person say, Im nitchayavti chatat, if I am chayav to be in chatat? Hakayman al-inyan chatat, deba yediyah batchila shechatat. The whole thing of a korban chatat is you need to have knowledge that you made a sin. Why you can't just bring a korban chatat not knowing that you made a sin. So how can you say this Yehi Ratzon in a lashon, in a way of doubt? Don't work that way. Okay, and He'ela Magen Avraham. That's why Magen Avraham says, "L'inyan chatat lo yomar klal Yehi Ratzon." There's no Yehi Ratzon. Rak l'inyan asham vadai ve'asham talui yuchal lomar Yehi Ratzon ze al tenai. Only you can say by asham talui. Ach im libod nokvo shema avar al chet. But if his heart is really pained that maybe he did an avera ve'ayalo yediyah shechatav v'shachar, and he knew that he sinned, he just maybe forgot about it. Yuchal lomar gam ken Yehi Ratzon achar chatat b'derech tenai. He can say this this Yehidatzon after Chatad through the means of a condition. Again, we don't have the custom to do all these Yehidatzons. We just do one of them. That seems to cover all of what we're going to say. Chet. Yomar ima korbanot. The person should say with the korbanot the pasuk veshahat oto al yerech hamizbeach tzafona lifnei Hashem, and he shall slaughter it on the corner of Mizbeach in the north in front of Hashem. This is actually a halachan Shulhan Aruch. That pasuk veshahat oto, we say it actually twice in the korbanot. This is actually brought down in Shulhan Aruch. Says the Mishnah Berurah ukayom noagin loomro achar parashat hatamid. Nowadays we say it but after Parashat HaTamid. So the Chachamim explained the reason why we do it. That at Akedat Yitzchak, God prepared two lambs. At the Akedat Yitzchak, there was one. There was two lambs over there in preparation, both signifying what was going to take place in the future. The two lambs of the Korban Tamid. There's a Tamid Shel Shachar, the daily korban in the morning, and the lamb that was brought Tamid Shel Ben Arbaim in the afternoon. So every time Bnei Israel says Tzafona Lifnei Hashem during the korban Tamid, Hakadosh Baruch Hu remembers the Akedah, and that's obviously like we said before, it brings zechuyot, it brings merit and protection for Bnei Israel. That's what he says. Veshachat oto deita b'midrash dekol mi sheomer pasuk. Anybody that says this pasuk, Hakadosh Baruch Hu zocher akedat Yitzchak, God remembers the akedah. And here is where we will end. Wishing everybody a wonderful evening ahead. Good night.
So we say the korbanot every